Hello, I'm Maury Reese. In this YouTube, I'm going to introduce the split voice capabilities of my Yamaha PSR E463 keyboard. I'll show you how you set it up. I'll explain what all the settings are that you can do with a split voice. And I'll try and demonstrate why would you want to use a split voice. In preparation, before I actually get down to it, I want to take you through a few slides that will lay the groundwork and explain what it is that I'm going to do and why. So let's go to my Macintosh. This is my introduction to the split voice on a Yamaha PSR E463 keyboard. I'm going to go into the how do you set it up, and I'll also try to demonstrate why would you even be interested in using a split voice. And let me start with that. Why use a split voice? You won't find this written anywhere in a book. This is just based upon my 35 years of having used synthesizers over and over. All of my synthesizers during those 35 years have had the split voice capability, so I'm quite familiar with it. One of the reasons I might want to split the keyboard is I might want to play a duet with two different instruments. Maybe I want a guitar in my right hand and a bass in my left hand, or perhaps I want a piano in my right hand and a clarinet in my left hand. If that's what I want, a duet with two different instruments, I'll split the keyboard. Another reason is with our E463, we only have 6 instruments that can be used in a style. So if I want to expand the style, and I want to add more instruments, this is a way to do that. I can add a 7th instrument into my style that's playing, and I'll demonstrate this in a few minutes. The third reason is maybe I want to add a little syncopated rhythm to a song. And what that means is rather than just going by the beat, I would emphasize some of the offbeats, and I'll demonstrate this when we get to the video production of this. So those are the 3 broad reasons of why I might be interested in setting up a split voice on my keyboard. Another reason is maybe I want to add a choir or backup singers to a song, and I will demonstrate this as well. And in a lot of my music, I sometimes want a choir or a musical group singing behind me. So what is the split voice? This keyboard, the E463, can be divided into 2 separate areas, and you can play a different voice in each area. So my left hand might be playing a bass, while my right hand is playing a piano. There's a button, and it's called the split, and this is what it looks like. By pressing this button, you split the keyboard into 2 separate areas, and then I can go in and set a different voice in each one, and I'm going to demonstrate exactly how to do that. Notice the all of these keys, they have a name up above: split, dual, harmony, DSP, and down below is another label, split voice. What this means is if you reach out and just punch this button, you are turning on or turning off the split. But if you hold it down, then it allows you to go in and set something. You can set the split voice by holding this key down. The same with the dual. If you tap it, you turn on or turn off the dual voice. But if I reach out and press this thing and hold it, I go into the place where I can now set the dual voice. So all of these things, that little symbol means press and hold if you want to go in and change it. And I'm going to be using this split voice. I'll press it and hold it when it comes time for me to set up the split voice. When you get this keyboard and open it up and plug it in for the first time, this F-sharp key, by default, this is where the keyboard is split. That's just the way it comes from the factory. Now, you can set this anywhere you want it to be. I will tell you this, in the 35 years of playing synthesizers, I have not found a compelling reason to change that point. All of my keyboards have always used this F-sharp as the point where I split the keyboard. So over here in the left hand, this is where my styles and all of my background music, and the rest of the keyboard is my solo voice or my melody voice that I'm using to play the melody. So I heartily recommend don't change it, just leave it set to the F-sharp. Now, when I press the split button on my keyboard, my screen comes up and looks like this. First of all, this symbol over here turns on, telling me I have pressed the split button and split is now turned on. And it automatically takes me into function 030, where and 030 is where you turn on or turn off the split voice. And what it does by default is it shows me what voice is currently set up to be the split voice. Okay? So pressing the split button takes me to this screen, function 030, and shows me what is the current setting on my split voice. There are 5 settings that you can make for the split voice, and I'm going to step through them now. So once you split it up, and once you've decided what instrument, what voice you want in your split voice, there's 5 other things you can do, and let me quickly go through them. First of all, this S.volume, this stands for the split voice volume, split volume. So I can set how loud is my split voice in comparison to the rest of the keyboard. And it goes from 0 to 127. So this is sort of loud, but not totally loud. The next thing I can do is I can decide what octave I want the split voice to play in. So sometimes I set up a split and the split voice is way too low for the instrument that I've chosen. So here you see that the split voice has been raised 2 octaves. So I get to decide how high or how low the split voice is going to be. Next. This is the split voice's pan, and pan means is the music coming from the left or the right. If you had stereo headphones on and you recorded a song in stereo, do you want the split voice to come out of the left headphone or the right headphone or somewhere in the middle? The default is 064. This means that the sound is coming equally out of both headphones, and that's fine. I rarely mess with the pan, but you can change it if you wanted to. The next is the reverberation, and I often play with this. You know, I record in a small office. There is no reverberation in my office, but I want my recording to sound like I'm in a studio or perhaps in a ballroom, or I've even recorded music where I want it to sound like I'm in a cathedral. So I can set the reverb, and once again, this goes from 1 to 127. So 105 is quite a bit of reverb, but not the full amount, which would be 127. And then I can also set the split voice chorus. I've described chorus as this is the difference between a solo singer and a choir. Chorus broadens the sound, it fleshes it out, it makes it thicker, just as a choir singing a note is much broader and richer than one person singing. So chorus, it kind of, the word describes what it sounds like. It's taking a solo and turning it into a choir or a chorus. Much richer, thicker sound. So when I finally turn the camera on myself in a few minutes, I'm going to set up 4 split voice settings. I'm going to start by setting up a 12-string guitar and a bass guitar. Then I'm going to go set up a country song, and then I will set up a bossa nova song, and finally I'm going to set up a love song. So, and I've chosen these 4 things because it's a demonstration of a different reason or a different way to use the split voice. On the guitar and the bass guitar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my voice, my right hand, as a 12-string guitar, and the split voice, my left hand, is going to be a pick bass. So I've got a guitar that I can strum, and I'll have a bass with my left hand. When I come to setting up a country song, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a style called country 8-beat playing. And the voice I'm going to set up as a folk guitar. So my right hand will be a folk guitar. The split voice is going to also be a 12-string guitar. So that's what will be played by my left hand in the split voice. I'm also going to go in and I'm going to raise that 12-string guitar 1 octave so it plays a little higher. And then I've got an arpeggio. What I'm going to set up is I'm going to have this 12-string guitar being strummed automatically with this arpeggio. Okay? It'll make more sense when you actually hear it. Next, the bossa nova settings. I'm going to set up a style of 130, which is a bossa. That's its name, bossa nova. And in my right hand, I'm going to have a trumpet, a voice 109 called a sweet trumpet. And the split voice I'm going to set up is 187, which is called bright. Finally, I'm going to set up a love song, and here are the settings you'll see me. I'll create a style using 211, which is called serenade. In my right hand, I'm going to set up violin strings, setting 070 on the voice settings. And in my left hand, the split voice is going to be something called 093, which is called Humana. This is a choir. So we're going to have a serenade with violin strings and this choir singing with my left hand. All right. So let's turn the camera on the keyboard and me, and I'll do all of that live. Okay, here we are at the keyboard of the PSR E463. Very nice little portable beginner's keyboard. And I have the keyboard set up as a guitar. And the entire keyboard is a guitar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the keyboard by pressing the split key. Ready? Split. Now I've already gone in and set up the split voice as a bass guitar, and it sounds like this. So the left hand is a bass guitar and the right hand is a 12 string. And so I can do this. That's about as simple as it gets. The right hand is one instrument, the left hand is another instrument. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the process of setting up the keyboard for a country setting. And I will explain every key that I'm pressing and tell you exactly what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the style. So I reach out and I press the style button. Just press it. And now with my rotary wheel, I'm going to dial in 120, 140, 130, 120. And it says country 8-beat. So I have set the style to a country and western style. Now I'm going to set up my right hand voice. So I reach out and I tap the voice key. And I want a folk guitar, which is voice number 43. So with my rotary wheel, I'm sitting here and I'm just going to dial 43. There it is. It says 043 folk guitar. Okay? So I have my style set and I have my right voice set. Now it's time to set my split voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out and I'm going to press and hold the split voice. And my screen says V Humana. It's telling me what the current split voice is. I want split voice 047, which is a 12-string guitar. So with my rotary wheel, I'm sitting here and I'm going to dial in 47. There it is, 12-string. Let me turn off my accompaniment so you can hear it. Okay, so the left hand from this key down is a 12-string guitar. Now what I want to do is I want to raise this guitar up to a full octave. There's where the normal guitar is. So I've raised it 2 octaves. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to set an arpeggio for my split voice. So I'm set up to operate on the split voice and I'm going to reach out and I'm going to press and hold the arpeggio. Okay, and I'm going to dial in number 85, 085, which is a strum 2. So listen to what I've done now. Let me turn on my arpeggio. So my split voice is set up as a 12-string guitar. I've added an arpeggio to it, which is going to sit there and strum that guitar. Okay? So I'm ready to let you hear this now. So here we go. I'll start with the accompaniment. Here's my style.
Okay, so that's a country style with a folk guitar voice and a split voice of a 12 string, which is sitting there strumming. Okay, and that's how I go through and set that up. So now let me go to my Bossa Nova. Just in the interest of time, I've already gone in and I've saved that in my registration memory. And the video that I did yesterday, in fact, or 2 days ago, showed how to do this. So with one press of my finger, 2, I'm calling back the Bossa Nova settings that I've set up. Here's my split voice. That's called a bright. And here's my accompaniment. And here's the split voice played with it. Okay. Now let's go to another voice. And I'll let you hear what the split voice sounds like. It's called Humana. It's a choir-like voice. And here's what my style sounds like. Oops. And this is what they sound like when you put them together. Okay, so here's the voice. So that's a very common use of a split voice. Set it up as a choir and have that choir singing in the background of your song. I hope you have found this useful. I hope it's given you some ideas about going out and experimenting with the split voice. Maybe you want to add a 7th instrument to your style. Maybe you want to just play a left hand, right hand duet between 2 instruments. Perhaps you want to add a choir to the backup of your style. So there's 3 or 4 reasons why you might be interested in a split voice. Hope you found this useful. If you have, leave me a note. I wish you well, and thank you for watching.